Hi guys, it's your boy Ralph, and I'm going to talk about the IEM that got popular for the wrong reasons. Yes, I'm talking about the KZ Krila. So, without further ado, so the KZ Krila is a one dynamic driver and one balanced armature hybrid IEM that costs at $15 or 750 pesos, and I have it right here for me to review. Now, like before, disclaimers, I bought this for $1 as some sort of promotional thing for review purposes. So I can just say it right now, KZ did not influence in any way, shape, or form. Whatever, look, I'm not really freaking biased. Whatever, I don't care. You know the stuff, okay? KZ doesn't know that this video kind of exists. I'm pretty sure at this point, KZ probably forgot about me, but that doesn't stop me from making this video. So real quick, I'm gonna talk about the unboxing. So first of all, it's pretty standard KZ packaging that is similar to the KZ HBB, similar to any KZ-ish IEM. It comes with a substandard cable, it comes with some ear tips, and there's the KZ Krila itself with a foam tips attached to it. And also what I like to call a SIM ejector tool, but it's really a tool for the tuning switches. Now, on the review period that I've tried with the Krila, I used the silicone tips because personally, I didn't find the foam tips to be that comfortable for my ears. But that's a preference thing. And before I forget, the cable is whatever. I already said it is substandard, but yeah, the cable is whatever. It doesn't have a chin slider, so I don't really have the same adjustment as what I would like, so that the IEM fits more secure to my ears. So we're going to talk about the fit, design, and comfort. So first off, I'm going to remove the cable right here. So as you can see here, it has some sort of wing design, kind of. Other than this wing design thing that they're pulling off right here, it has this understated look to it, which is better compared to the previous designs of the KZ IEMs. I'll show on the screen what their previous design language is, but it has this more understated and simple look to it. Personally, I prefer this look over the previous KZ IEMs. Now for the comfort, I'm gonna wear it right here right now. So you can see it's no problems for me. It has this usual single dynamic driver shell, so it's fine. It's not overly huge or overly large, but I've tried better IEMs in terms of comfort. There's nothing to write home about. So in a nutshell, the fit, design, and comfort is fine. Nothing groundbreaking in terms of design. It's not one of the, oh, it's the best comfort I'll ever try. But for $15 or 750 pesos, that's fine. Not much to talk about here. So we're gonna move on to subjective sound or sound impressions. Let's start with the bass. In terms of the bass, it's fine. I think it's pretty okay for the price that it's at. It's not going to be the best in terms of bass response, but it's not, I've heard worse than this in terms of bass. So with that said, it's pretty average. It's fine. It doesn't really sound weird or anything. Some people say it will be bloated. I don't really think it's that much of an issue. So there's not much anything about it. And now let's continue to the mid-range and the treble, where there's a lot of problems. So the treble, the first time I tried this IEM, cymbals sound very harsh. Whoa, holy, okay. Oh wow. This is bright. What? No, what the hell? It's very bright sounding. It's pretty bright leaning. It has this bit of metallic timbre on it. As a result, every time there's a crash cymbal hit, it has a really nasty long decay, or at least the sensation of long decay. As a result, the cymbals pretty much just dominates when it has presence, compared to the rest of the mix, even compared to the rest of the drum sets. It's a bit of a shame because it kind of affects the mid-range tonality as well. When I tried it with vocals, it also gets affected, and now the harmonics has this very gritty texture to it. As a result, it's not the smoothest IEM that I've tried in terms of vocals. So as a result, it's also not really one of the most natural ones. It's fine. It's probably better than the previous KZ IEMs that I've tried, which is shouty, shrill, sharp, bright, all those descriptors. This one has just a simple harshness to it. So yeah, I think that in of itself is probably the weakest and the most deal-breaking thing about the KZ Krila. So yeah, that's what I can say. Now let's talk about the technical performance. So let's start with bass dynamics, which is fine, average. It doesn't have a loose sounding or a soft sounding. It's probably closer to a soft sounding signature while having a lot of bloom. So that's why some people can find this a bit muddy. It's a bit uncontrolled. Now for the imaging and the stage performance, again, average. Stage is pretty much in your head or in your center with very blurry diagonals left, right, center. So I don't really think it's gonna be one of the better IEMs for gaming. There are better IEMs for gaming if you're into that purpose. This is not it. Do not get this for gaming, I'm telling you right now. And it's also not even one of the best for detail, layering, and timbre. I already explained timbre, but also detail. It has this grainy texture that is very like unrefined. It's like you boost the contrast, but you also have the blur. So what the hell? So yeah, that is the subjective sound. In a nutshell, it's fine. It's better than the previous KZ IEMs that I've tried before, but honestly the KZ Krila doesn't really compete in terms of the current market as of making this video. So let's talk about objective sound. Now we're going to get into graphs. Let's go. So as you can see right here on the graphs, one graph is with all switches up, labeled by the letter U's, and there is all switches down with all the letter D's. The impressions that I have only applies with all switches up. If you put all switches down, the bass gets worse. Now it's just gone. Pretty much bright, neutral. Do not switch off all the switches. I'm telling you right now. Second, you see it, all switches up and all switches down, and it only changes pretty much the bass. But I have no problems with the bass. My problem is the goddamn treble, which is pretty much unrefined and pretty metallic when I hear it, which is pretty much weird because as you can see here, aside from the resonance peak, there really isn't any indication of some sort of metallic timbre to it. The only indication I can think of is in terms of the resonance peak shape being pretty much thin compared to the other IEMs that are commonly smooth by comparison. Aside from that, the mids looks fine. It has the usual 1K to 2K elevation, which emphasizes snare drum attack and guitar attack snap. So it's normal, especially if you're used on IEM 2020 signatures. It's nothing special in terms of the mid-range in terms of graphs. But really, my complaint here is that the switches. Why have 4 switches if it only changes bass response? If I have an opportunity to make an IEM with switches, it's either just 1 or 2. But 4, and it only changes the mid bass and the sub bass? No! My problem is with the treble. Since there's no way to adjust the treble, either by less volume or more volume, then this is basically an IEM that is not for me. Which is a shame because tuning switches, they're pretty cool. But it's whatever. So yeah. Oh yeah, before I forget, before I go to comparisons, how do you adjust the tuning switches? As you can see on this tuning switches right here, it's like this and it's kind of pretty small. So you see it's not poking out, it's kind of flush on the side. What do? You need some sort of tool like this. It's kind of thin, it has this angle thing here, and what you basically do, say you have this switch, all these switches that I see right here, you have to basically use this tool to just activate it down like this, and it'll just do a click, and boom. Now I just change the switch position, the up down position. So yeah, this is how you adjust the switches. I don't really like how this is done, but also I'm not gonna turn off the switches. By itself, it doesn't really do much, and at the end, it's basically just one switch. Now, I've measured every combination of switches out there, 16 different tunings, which is ultimately 16 different changes of bass. Which is cool that it's kind of granular in its adjustments, but also, honestly, I just prefer to have one big bass boost and one small bass boost. You know, like on the graphs right here. This can be done with just one switch. And yeah, I think that's it for the objective sound. We're gonna do some comparisons. So what we're gonna do is to compare with the current market IEMs, which is basically the Moondrop Chu, the KZ HBB, the Truthear Zero, the Zero Red, and lastly, the Salnotes Zero. I actually have the Hola as well, but in general, if I had to rank them, there's the Chu, there's the Krila, the KZ HBB, Truthear Zero, and the Zero Red. Yes, Krila is in 4th place. Let's compare it one by one. Let's start with the Moondrop Chu. So in the Moondrop Chu, the reason why I prefer the Krila over the Moondrop Chu is because of the bass response. That's it. It has similar timbre problems, but the Krila has more bass, so it's an easy win. Now let's go with the KZ HBB. I prefer the KZ HBB because even though it's dark, at least it doesn't have some sort of metallic timbre into it. It's a bit on the safe side, a bit inoffensive, and has a lot of bass, pretty much bass head levels. While I would prefer the Krila on its bass response, the better timbre on the KZ HBB is what really sets it up for me. And also for gaming, it has this exaggeration factor where it pretty much exaggerates left and right, directly left and right. So in gaming, you could get the KZ HBB over the Krila. So that's why I put it on 3rd place. So let's compare the KZ Krila to the Truthear Zero. Now, the Truthear Zero is basically Harman in-ear, which is a target that I personally don't really like. It's too shouty, it can be too thin depending on the iteration, and ultimately, it's basically a bright V-shape. So, how does this fare to the KZ Krila? For its price, it has really solid bass dynamics. It's a bit on the bouncy and the loose side, but it's more defined sounding than on the KZ HBB. And it's pretty punchy and slammy, even though it's a bit on the bouncy side of things. It's a bit boomy, but it has a really good sense of tactility onto it. So it sounds really fun, despite the fact that it can sound thin. I don't really miss the bass, and that's what the bass that I want. Meanwhile, the Krila, it isn't that special. Now, for the stage and imaging, the Truthear Zero and spoiler alert, also the Zero Red, surprisingly has really nice imaging for me. For the stage that it has, which is honestly pretty shallow or pretty small or narrow, even in like around the price range, I can think of a few IEMs that can have a better sense of width than the Zero and the Zero Red. They both have really nice imaging. They have really good sense of direction in terms of the diagonal. So front right and front left, it's pretty good, especially for gaming, especially if you want to have that bit of a competitive advantage. I think they're really good. KZ Krila doesn't really have any wins in that regard. And lastly, for its treble, specifically timbre, even though the Zero Red isn't really that good because of its tuning, it's modestly linear. Just, you know, the tuning wise, I don't really vibe with it, but ultimately, the Truthear Zero is a better overall package. Now let's talk about the Zero Red, which is basically the Truthear Zero but better tuned. It's a wash. There's nothing competing the Zero Red for me right now. So yeah, Zero Red wins over the KZ Krila. So great. In a nutshell, is the KZ Krila worth it? No, I don't really think that it's kind of worth it, but I'm not just gonna end this video with, oh, KZ Krila is not worth it or anything. It is not worth it for me. It's a decent option in its price range, basically average. It's fine, but the message here that I'm trying to give you here is that while the KZ Krila is decently tuned, tuning can only get you so far. I think any manufacturer at this point can put out any Harman IEM or any neutral with the bass boost IEM. Tuning is now really good on $20 sets, but you need to somehow step up and be different or be unique in its price range. Like the QKC HPB being the cheapest bass head option that I will recommend, the Salnotes Zero being the cheapest bright neutral that I could recommend, the Warner being the most balanced, the Hola being the most chill. This has more problems than positives and also more unnecessary things that I just feel like it's not really that competitive. Tuning can really get you so far. This is pretty alright in its technical performance, and it's a shame because I prefer other IEMs because they honestly have better technical performance than this. So yeah, KZ, if you're watching this video, cool, you're into good tuning, please get some sort of listening impressions because I assure you the timbre of this is fucked. So yeah, with that out of the way, I think that's all I can say about the KZ Krila. So, is it worth it? Well, I already said my piece. You do your decisions. So, if you like this video, like down below, comment down below, all the stuff. Dislike if you have to. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah. Peace.